Governor Baker recently announced increased funding to combat gang activity. Under the Shannon Grant, communities across the state will receive money to help law enforcement and social service agencies who work with at-risk teens. The Berkshire County city of Pittsfield will receive $197,000 this year, and Carol Lee McGrath sat down with State Senator Adam Hinds, who founded the Pittsfield Community Connection, and Colleen Holmes, the president of Berkshire Children and Families, to find out more.
The Shannon Grant is a statewide program. It's a $7.7 million program statewide, 15 different sites, which includes more cities than that and a lot of research partners involved. And really what it's trying to get at is youth violence. And it's a mixture. It changes city by city of the strategy that's undertaken, but it's a mixture of essentially providing opportunities and trying to allow for a comprehensive effort, not only with the individual, but involving as many community partners as possible, and the police being a key partner in most of the programs.
Colleen, explain a little bit about what you see in your line of work, and when you're talking about youth violence, what kinds of situations are happening in Pittsfield?
Well, in Pittsfield, as in many communities, what is happening is as a result of known factors such as poverty, generational poverty, joblessness, limited access to education, and barriers in terms of trauma, that our youth and our young people and their families are struggling. And so that begins to show itself in disruptive behaviors and in being absent from school, and makes things like gang activity more attractive.
How do you talk kids out of that? If they've had trauma at home, if they don't have somebody that they can turn to, that they trust or feel that they can trust, they don't feel loved. I mean, how do you even tell a kid the gang is not a good idea if, what they're leaving is not a good situation?
That is such a great question. And it really doesn't start with trying to tell them anything. It starts with trying to build a relationship, having some trusted relationship with a positive adult. And just starting to just listen to and hear from that young person what it is they want and need for themselves, what are their dreams, and then bit by bit connecting to what it is. So our staff spend a lot of time doing outreach, and when I say outreach, I don't mean phone calls. I mean literally on the street, in the playgrounds, and wherever we know that youth are hanging out.
And so this money will allow you to increase, that activity as well in terms of connecting with youth.
Very much so, very much so. It is really a one-on-one process, so it takes a lot of doing to be able to do it before you can really engage the youth. And we are really grateful for that added funding and for the advocacy of folks like Senator Hinds and the legislature for recognizing that prevention and intervention, that addressing the issues upstream is really what's going to help us knock down the level of negative behavior that we see.
So let's talk about the upstream part of it. So this money will be supporting police as well. And there's obviously gang activity that they're looking at. How will that help them in their work?
It depends on the program, but it's often used for covering hotspot details, so just a more visible presence. A lot of community policing often comes into it, helping with overtime to cover incidents, and so it depends on the community. Pittsfield is a recipient, so is Springfield and Holyoke and Chicopee as well, and they all have slightly different models. But I do just want to emphasize the design of the program that Colleen runs it's really pretty special for saying, look, we understand that there's gang activity is going to be attractive if you don't have certain things. And right. So what are those things? And is it respect? Is it money? And the program is allowed for providing those alternatives and allowing certain aspects of your dignity to be taken care of when you can make a buck and you have somebody who's there to listen to you. And it's such a strong program with outreach workers who come to the table with credibility with the youth and
experience is
lived
important.
experience.
So people who might have been in gangs before who are talking to the kids?
Sure. Exactly.
Okay. And why is this so important to you? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was one of the people who started the Pittsfield program. It was before I ran for the state senate, and I was doing this work exactly. And so it was the first year Pittsfield received the Shannon Grant, and so we were starting from zero and saying, what is it in the program design that we want to see? And it was a really unique opportunity to just start fresh. And those were the elements we wanted to make sure we hit, is go to where the youth are, be clear about what they're experiencing in the community, in society, and just try to fill some of those gaps that they might be experiencing.
How do you say, hey, listen, you might make a lot of money here, for a short amount of time, but stay in school? I mean, what kinds of conversations do you have with young people that can convince them of that?
Well, Colleen said it best. I mean, you have to have an alternative. Our outreach workers would always say, look, they're going to try and make a dollar somehow. Let's find a positive way to do it in the first instance. And so that job component was a key piece. We saw participants increase once we were able to provide summer jobs and other activities in that regard. And then the lived experience of the outreach workers was the other key piece of being able to say, I've been there, done that, it didn't work. Let's talk. And that was a key piece. And
when you look at the drug activity as well, I know it's often tied to human trafficking. And when you think about teenagers, girls or boys, and how horrible that life can be, how do you again address these pretty dark issues with kids who are vulnerable?
I think it's important to recognize that all of these kids, all of these youth, these young people have experienced trauma. And that trauma, the data tells us, the science tells us, trauma changes brain chemistry.
Of course it does.
It changes the way you think and the way you react. And so in terms of that shift in thinking, that you really have to do the groundwork of working with folks on learning to think critically and to problem solve, and in not perceiving constant threat. And so that really takes time. But there are also, fortunately, really specific tools and approaches that do the job. So it is very possible for this to turn around with these kids.
Can you work with families as well? I mean, can you circle back to the parents? Maybe the kid didn't come from a home where there was trauma. Maybe he's just going out, or she's just going out and rebelling. How do you work with families? Because that could be really, really tricky, for parents, especially, if you're a single parent, to be able to navigate that.
So we are Berkshire Children and Families for a reason. And so we do work with families all the time. We do early education and care, foster care and adoption, child and family well-being services, as well as youth and community development. So what we uniquely do is we wrap around the entire family. And I'm so glad you raised this point, because not every child is from a messed up home situation, although certainly there is that. And the trauma isn't necessarily as a result of their actual home or family life. It is a result of the constant struggle and stress. If you are in a neighborhood that is unsafe, if you are constantly struggling for the basics of food and of shelter, and even of being able to get to school and have what you need to do that. And so we do actually work with the families as well, where there is, and when I say family, it doesn't have to be a traditional family structure. Any key person in that young person's life, and any family member, that we work with them and we try to wrap around that young person together.